was yeah, a great thing that I kind of be able to get on board with, and it's one of the things that I've actually really enjoyed doing as part of that work. But what I want to talk about today is assessment using an iOS device, which is something that I sort of have adapted over my time in training. A little background for this presentation, for what I want to speak about. I found this first of all a great blog post by Joey Faith, which I'm sure a lot of you know, physics educator on Twitter. He came up with a blog post about using the Numbers app on an iOS device as an assessment tool, as a kind of grading way. And it's something that I thought, I've always got my iPad with me. I thought it was a great idea to actually have that and try and adapt it for myself. So what I did is I took his general idea and actually tried to make it my own by adding a few different little twists I'm going to show you in a second. So as he has a little bit of background, so I just want a simple way of assessing my students, because as part of my teaching, I used to do a lot of actual work where I needed to make sure that my students were showing progress. I'm sure a lot of you have to do. At the time, there was no actual assessment apps that I could find that were very beneficial for myself. Now there's a great app by Mr. Robbo, Easy Assessment, that I do use as well. This is what I used and still use today, and it's quite an effective tool. So first things first, you need the Numbers app from the Apple Store, from the App Store. This does work on either an iPhone or an iPad. This is shown on my iPad currently. And when you open it up, all you need to do is make a blank spreadsheet. Next, you're going to have to make a few different forms, different tables. First things first, you need to make always name your sheets. The reason I say this is that if you tend to get more and more classes, it can get a bit messy. So as you see in the picture, all I've done is name the sheets, student data, and a few others come in a minute. Once you name the sheets, you need to start adding your students into it. What I try to do is, I've just shown you a little example here. So you see myself at Mr. B PE teacher listed there, Joey, who created this sort of idea as well, Wellness RF, and Lee Garrett, a few of the PE geeks originally. What I've done is just listed the students' names down there and started adding criteria. For this assessment tool, what you need to do is basically what I've done is pick 3 basic criteria. So for this one, this was a basketball lesson. I did dribbling, passing, and shooting. And the reason for 3 criteria will come apparent in a second. Next column, points, grade, and comments. Again, these all come apparent in a second. What you need to do now is make your gradings form. To make the gradings, all I did is make another sheet in my table, called it grades, and I listed it from, this is based on my GCSE class. So I did it from A star down to U. You can do it however you want. For the UK National Curriculum, I did it for Year 7, ranging from 6A down to 2C. However you actually want to do it, it's quite an easy way of doing it. So what I did, just made a 2-tier table, as you can see. I'm sure all of you can do that. And we need this in a second as a part of our formulas, because the whole idea of this actual way of doing assessment is that all you have to do is tick a few boxes and it gives you an instant grade, which is great for feedback for the students. And next, we need to format our cells. Okay, what I did here is, if you look on the picture, top right of the corner of this picture is a little spanner. Click on that and you can format your cells. What we need to do is use a star rating option. The reason we did that is because in the form, it will show you in a second how easy it is to grade by using this little formula. The formula looks quite complex. It's on your screen. A VLOOKUP, I'm sure if any of you PE geeks out there, Excel is something that we always use together, so I'm sure a lot of us actually know how to do it. But VLOOKUP, point score, Mr. B teacher, table 1, A1 to B11, 2, close match. If you're not sure what all that jargon means, please send me a message. I'll explain it to you, because basically all we're saying is we're asking that box that the red arrow is pointing to look at what point score we got, which in the point score box, all it's doing is adding up the star ratings and giving us a point score. It's taking that point score, matching it to what was in the table, so what was back in our gradings table. And so, for example, if I got 73, it would put me at a level, put me in assessment grade B. And it's telling us if it's close enough to 70. If it's close to 70 and it is 80, it will give us 70, give us a B. If it's closer to 80 than it is 70, it will give us an A. Okay, so it works all out based on that sort of criteria. So that's the formula you're looking for. I'll leave it on the screen for 2 secs. And next, that's all the complex sort of work out of the way. And now it's how this is why it's called, kind of, I like to call it easy assessment, which I know what Mr. Robbo calls his, but I find this very easy. So what we do now is click on the plus icon and we add a new form. By adding a new form, you then get this page here, which is a lot cleaner, a lot simpler to use. As you see, this is a page you'll be presented with. It's got our 3 criteria we established earlier: dribbling, passing, and shooting. And from these 3 criteria, we can then give the students a star rating. So you see the 5 dots. In a second, you'll see how it works. Okay, so we've got the point score underneath, which is how it works it out, and the grade, and then a comments box. As it says on the screen, to change between students, all you need to do is click on the 2 arrows. Okay, so it'll be in alphabetical order. In this example, I had 22 students, so you can just click through and see the different students there. By using the 5-star system, okay, you give each student a rating based on set criteria. So if you think that student, for example, like I said, this was basketball, this example. So I remember giving my students, if I said if they can only dribble on one hand, then they weren't, in my opinion, worth the 5-star kind of rating. So they might get 4 stars, might get 3, depending on how their close control was, how they're dribbling. So I sort of worked out my system for assessing through this. And then as I gave them, all I had to do is look at a student, say, yep, you're good at that dribbling. Okay at passing, brilliant at shooting, hardly ever missed. You've got a great beef set shot. It'll give me a point score, as you can see, which then in turn tells me the grade. By telling me the grade, I can then say to a student, to pull them across, say, look, you're currently working at B. You can see that you've got 4 out of 5 stars for dribbling, 3 for the passing, and 5 for shooting. So you now know that based on that criteria, they know what they need to work on. And you've got quite a clear idea in your head as well, okay, about how to move them on. As you go through, you obviously do it for all your students, and there's a comments box underneath. So for example, what I used to do when I was assessing, I'd give all the students a grade based on this star system. And as soon as I was happy with what I've given them, I'd write a comment underneath saying you might need to try a range of passes. For example, try a bounce pass in the final key. Different ideas to actually make them actually work through that. Okay, so that's where the comment section goes. All of this then can get exported out into a main spreadsheet back to your computer, because I know how much head of departments love to have spreadsheets as well. So all this assessment data, you do it in your lesson, beam it across, email it to yourself. It's straight away into your spreadsheet, and you can upload it all into a master spreadsheet. On my, oh, here you go. It shows you about the grade there. The video won't work, unfortunately. For the actual assessment tool itself, what you need to do, like I said, it's very easy to set up. I think it costs around £6.99 British pound. I'm not sure what is America. And it's a great tool to have because the Numbers app is a very versatile thing to actually have on your iPad, on your iPhone. One thing I'd like to say about it is I do it for a lot of my classes, and this can be adapted and it can be changed for your class. If you want to have this spreadsheet without setting up yourself and want a blank example, I have got one. I have got an example I put in Dropbox to everyone to share on my website, which is mrbpeteacher.co.uk. If you go there's a blog post about it, about when I did it originally, with the blank files for you to check out. If you're not sure or if you've got any questions about it, please check me out, Mr. BP Teacher, and let me know there. And as John said, please do check out the PE Geeks Dropbox. There are some fantastic resources in there that I know I use a lot, and I'm sure loads of PE Geeks around the globe do. And it's a fantastic resource. So that's all from me now. Thank you for listening. If you've got any questions, feel free to message me. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks.